Hi everyone, hope you all are doing good. Welcome to the HLD in a nutshell series, and today's topic is the basics of system design. So first, I will say that there would be a client. This is a PC, personal computer, mobile application, or any other device there could be, and he is making a request to our server. This is our server. This bigger box, this is our server. Okay, and he is making this client is making a request. Okay, so whenever you type facebook.com, google.com, basically you are making a request to Google server, Facebook server, whichever website you are trying to access, right? So what happens when it reaches our server? Okay, the first thing is our application code, right? It will intercept, and then here is the database. So this database is our primary store or primary storage, and after that it will again go to the application code. So I'll just revise. Client makes a request, it gets to a server, there is a code written in your application, right? So there is code written on your server, because of which your server is running. There is some code written by you, by developers, or by any other, and they are running on some cloud or any device, right? So basically what is happening is, now this application code, if there is some data needs to be stored, read, whatever, this is the primary, like when there is one database and where there is less complexity, this is what you will do, right? Now it could happen that there are some operations that are that are frequently accessed. So basically there are in-memory caches which you can use for faster reads. So if I consider this as an in-memory cache, so the in-memory cache examples would be like Redis, Memcache, etc. So it is the responsibility of your application code that whatever you are storing in the Redis, what you are storing in the Redis is also the responsibility of the application code, and when this data needs to be updated, that is also the responsibility of your application code. So now if there is a uh, certain data that Redis can hold, and Redis has multiple use cases. It can also be used for solving concurrency problems, etc. But we won't delve too much deep into it. This is just the basic understanding. So when the server, now I'll start from again. Your client makes a request to the server. It goes to the application code. It first checks in the Redis. Okay. So this is like the first check, where we check if the data is cached or not. If the data is cached, we might use this itself, or depending on your application's logic. Okay, now this is much faster than the database access, that's why we use it, and there are multiple use cases, but we will delve into it in the later part of the series. As of now, then you might go here. First we will check into Redis. If there are cache misses or updates that needs to be made to the database, then we will make these updates in this database, and then we will update the Redis as well. If you have updated the DB, and Redis needs to be updated as well, and it's the responsibility of your application code. Now here, this box, this is for full text searches. Basically this is a search engine. The example of search engine would be like the examples would be Elasticsearch and Solar, etc. Right, these are the examples of search engines. So for full text searches or for any search request, basically these are search engines which is basically optimized to conquer your searching needs. And so for any search request you will come here, and again it is the responsibility of your application code to make sure that it is updated. Now there is some indexing going on here, we are using inverted index, etc., but it is the responsibility of your application code that your Redis is up to date and your search engine is also up to date. So basically Elasticsearch or Solar, whatever you are using, you have to make sure that the indexes are mapped properly. Then there are message queues. So basically you made a request, it came to the application code, and it is suppose some notifications you want to send or some email, and you want asynchronous tasks. So here you will send it. Examples of messaging queues would be like Kafka or RabbitMQ. So any notifications, any email that you want to send which doesn't need to be sent right away, you can use these, and then you will send it later to the outside world. So basically this is what you need to know about. Okay, this is just the basics, and since this is nutshell series, the videos I'll try to keep it short and simple. So basically this is client, it reached the application code, right? This is the primary storage DB. Okay, now it is the responsibility of your application code to make sure your Redis and your search engines are up to date. Okay, and this Redis is used because it's much faster, it gives you much faster access than your DB. Okay, the reasons we will discuss later as well, but for now you can keep these things in mind, that Redis is much faster than your primary database. Okay, and this is the search engine which you will use to search. Okay, this search engine is specifically made for searching purposes, so it's much faster searches than your DB. Okay, it provides much faster searches, and your searching needs are fulfilled through this, and it is again your responsibility of the application code to make sure that this is also up to date. Okay, so DB needs to be up to date with this and this, right? And message queues are like when you want to send something asynchronous task, like there are some notifications, but it's not necessarily you need to notify your friend has posted something, you could tell 5 minutes later as well, that's fine. So you could use message queues. You can you can set priorities, that this is the notification which is more urgent than some other notification. So and so forth, there are many things you can do, and this is the basics. So I just wanted to make sure that in this lecture you know that there is something called as Redis, there is search engine, sorry it's not Redis, but and in-memory cache. So there is something called as in-memory cache, there is search engine, and there are messaging queues. So these three things you need to keep in mind. Okay, in-memory cache, search engine, messaging queues. I'll even write it down in the PPT. Okay, so now, so these are the basics which I wanted to tell you. There is an in-memory cache, there is a search engine, and there is message queues, which you will use in most of the backend systems. It's pretty common nowadays, and this is, I think, one of the basics that you should know, or you would know, before we proceed and talk about more theoretical things. This is something that you would use in your day-to-day working as a backend engineer. So again, I'll repeat the examples of in-memory caches are Redis and Memcache. Search engine examples would be Elasticsearch and Solar. Message queues examples would be Kafka and RabbitMQ. Now there is obviously blurring, that is Redis can also be used for messaging queues. Like Kafka has a very good durability as well. So the lines are a little blurred because one thing can be used for other as well, but these are specialized in some other things. So some things are better and at doing certain things than other tools or technologies. That's why we use different tools. Even Solar and Solar and Elasticsearch, even though they both are have the same use cases, but they still have some differences, and you would still make the choice which one to use in your application. If you have the authority to decide, then you will have to make decisions based on what these tools, these technologies provide. And so based on your needs, based on the business logic that you are solving, based on the problem that you are solving, you will have to choose these accordingly. Okay, there is no straightforward answer that this is better than this or that is better than this. It's all depends on its use cases. Everyone has their own strengths. It's like a football game. Some players are fast, some players are quick, some are good at acceleration, some are good with dribbling, some are good at heading, some are good at holding play, some are good defensively. Okay, so some are good in anticipation, someone's positioning is very good. Okay, someone can make in behind runs. So there are so many things a person or a tool can provide, and each have their own characteristics, and based on the problem that you are solving, based on that you will choose your tools and technologies. So that's it for now. Just I wanted to make sure that we start with the basics of how normally you will have your backend engineering or your server system with a Redis, a search engine, and a message queue, which is pretty common, which is used in most of the places. And I'll again say that if you want to know more about this, we will talk in between, but if you want to read, you can definitely Google them and read a little bit introduction on them, which would be really helpful going forward as well. With that, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, and I hope to meet you again in the next video. So stay tuned. Bye bye.